Hi, my name is Rachel. So today I'm going to be discussing the pharmacodynamics and also the pharmacokinetics of different drugs that are used, but this is going to be specifically for pediatrics. So with this, we're actually going to be exploring how certain drugs for pediatrics are used. So we're also going to be focusing on certain specific diagnoses as well. So for one particular, people definitely know about is ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And within this is a disorder that is characterized and diagnosed in a lot of little kids. It can be diagnosed as early as 3, and we all know little kids, to be bouncy and happy, but it's okay. But sometimes they might need a little extra help. So we're going to definitely visit that and go into that. But this assignment is for week 6 for MFT 6112. And we're definitely going to just jump in and get right in here. So it is some particular SSRIs that are FDA approved. And it's 4 major ones that are approved for children specifically and adolescents. It is escitalopram, fluoxetine, fluvoxamine, and sertraline. So with those 4, it is a huge thing. So yeah, those 4 are FDA approved for not only children but also for adolescents too. The other FDA approved medications for children can fall underneath stimulants and also antipsychotics. So you have 2 different ones there. And with the stimulants and the antipsychotics, it's also 4 major ones too that have been FDA approved for children. And I'm going to go ahead and read those off to you with the specific ages that they are approved for. So the first one is going to be amphetamine, and that's going to be for ages 3 years and older. So you can start your client on the amphetamine at 3 years of age. Another one that has been FDA approved is the risperidone, and that one is going to be approved and started at the age of 5. So 5 years and older. The third one is going to be chlorpromazine, and this one is going to be prescribed at 6 months and older. And the last one is going to be haloperidol, and that's going to be 3 years and older. But each of those medications has specific things that they're targeting for those children. For example, the chlorpromazine, that's for 6 months and older, and that's for severe behavioral disorders. So that's going to be a little bit different. And then the last one too with the haloperidol, that's going to be used for more so with psychosis too within children. So each of these drugs are used specifically for something. That's why most of the time when you do get prescribed a prescription, it is targeting specific behaviors or feelings that you don't want to have anymore. For example, like a headache, you take a Tylenol, so then that way you don't have that headache anymore. So it's almost kind of like you're putting a Band-Aid over it so you won't feel it at the moment. But of course, for clients and for parents, they want to make sure their children are happy and healthy. So they want to make sure that not only are these behaviors disappearing, but it's also kind of like taken care of. So it's not that they're reoccurring or relapsing, but of course we know with therapy, relapse is something that is common and it is okay. And with these, it's 2 ways to look at different psychotropic drugs, especially for children. Some people view against it, some people view for it. You have 3 different views. So some people just want just medication, that's it. Then you have some people that don't want any medication, and then you have some people that want to have medication and talk therapy. So usually dealing with any psychotherapist with their medications. So it's either medication, just talk therapy, or intertwine and have that mix. I feel like everything is needed. I can definitely understand everybody's viewpoint, especially with the different articles and different empirical research that has been done and that hasn't been done as well. They're starting to get a little bit concerned when it comes to having children on these specific drugs at such a young age. It kind of does have some adverse effects, and it also deals with the actual dopamine that is in the child's brain. And they're also noticing, like, since the dopamine in that particular child's brain is starting to almost disappear, but since it's starting to have some adverse effects with the dopamine inside, it's starting to raise questions to bipolar disorder. So they actually did a study noticing that early on, children that take these medications early on have are more likely to end up with bipolar disorder later on in their life, so in their adolescent years. Recently working and doing my practicum at a facility, I definitely had a lot of girls that had bipolar disorder. They have had it for a while. They were on medications mostly for their whole lives. So this is something that I personally got a chance to see what this article is speaking about firsthand. When you look at historically the changes in the drugs on their body till now as well. So it is pretty interesting to look at all different views and types. This article was also speaking about wondering if the FDA has any financial gain from psychotropic drugs and for the pharmaceutical companies, if they're in ties with one another. Some definitely think that, some do not. And we all have our own opinions, but definitely looking through our research is where we're going to receive our validity for these questions and answers. But yeah, so that's good to know. But definitely it has been a correlation between taking medications at such a young age and then later on having different adverse effects and affecting their bodies in different ways, and also their cognitively, anything with a mental health disorder as well. And those are the main two things though. So cognitive, and then also mental health disorders, so psychosis, bipolar disorder, anxiety as well, and PTSD. So they have noticed that, and they started with those children started with PTSD or anxiety at a young age, or ADHD, received the medication, and then have grown, and then later on been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So it's just something to keep in mind. But like I said, I do feel that you need both, because medication does help some individuals, just like talk therapy helps some individuals. You have to find what's good for your particular client, and that's you as a therapist getting to know and understand your client, and then also after connecting with the psychiatrist and asking for these specific prescriptions for your client to be put on, and then noticing how their behaviors have gone and grown across the board, longitudinal, then you will understand where they are placed at and what the actual drug is doing for them, if it's working for them or if it's not. So that's kind of going into the next thing, and the next thing is actually just me taking a case that I've made up, which would be, of course, a child suffering from ADHD, and they're showing behaviors as such of not being able to concentrate. Seems like they're not hearing or listening on purpose. They're definitely active in everything, hyperactive, and they can't sit still and they can't concentrate. So for this, I would prescribe Ritalin for them. This would help them in a way to be able to stay focused, and then also on their cognitive behaviors. So really zoning in and keying in so they can focus on one thing and they can understand what's going on. Because sometimes when you have a client like this and they're just everywhere, it's hard for them to listen because they have so much going on, not only within their minds, but they're hearing and seeing a lot of different things. So almost kind of like with artistic clients, it's a lot of sensory going on. So that kind of puts you in the mind of that. So it's so much going on around them that they're losing focus and they're losing everything. So being able to have them have that hyper focus and to have that stimulant, I would definitely prescribe Ritalin for them for this particular situation if they're displaying those particular behaviors. I would definitely, of course, manage and watch how my client is reacting to these drugs, and I would say that they would be working well with them. But if it doesn't correlate well with their body, or just even if I haven't seen any switch in their behaviors, then I would still keep them on it. I would either, one, amp up the dosage that I've given them, or I would just let it wait for a while to see how much they might particularly need in their bloodstream in order for it to show any effects. So with Ritalin, though, this is a fast-acting stimulant, so that's why it should be within the system within 4 to 6 hours. That's why it's prescribed usually twice a day, so it can stay there. But yeah, so that's what I would do for this particular case, and why I would keep them on the particular prescription if I haven't seen any effects at first, because sometimes some things might not show up until a little bit later. But yeah. All right, so that is my presentation. Thank you so much. Bye.